guys, it's Gummo here with another ninth age battle report finally, and probably the last of 1.2. Just my orcs up against some vampires and 4,500 points. Work's been crazy and I haven't had a chance to really even do anything, so I didn't even have mental energy to write a list, so I just basically stole it off the internet. But I wanted to bring a spider, so it's basically a great green idle list, but I also managed to get my spider into it. I had to drop a few things from the list that I grabbed off the internet, but it's just going to be a fun game. And I thought there's a few little wrinkles in there that who knows how it would stand up against vamps. So I've got 5 mounted Ed Bashers with that Micnot's totem. Just a common orc warlord with, I think he's got like a 2-up save. And I think I incorrectly said told Andrew, my opponent, that he had a 5-up ward, which he actually didn't because I had to get another magic item in. But I don't think it came into play, thankfully, and I just realised that when I was putting this together. So yeah, he's just a common orc warlord. He's got the reroll. You have to reroll wounds against him, and he gets reroll hits. Wounds. Blessed sword. Sorry, reroll divine attacks. Or whatever it is, you guys know. Then I've got a spider. Cave trolls out the back, 6 of them. 45 night goblin archers or cave goblin archers with my cave goblin general with that cave crown of the cavern king and also crown of autocracy, whatever it's called. And then I've got a level wizard apprentice with 3 spells from thaumaturgy with the zapper bow. Obviously they'll go in that unit, make it Vanguard and quick to fire and all that sort of stuff. 2 fanatics, some snotling dudes, grotlings, whatever they're called. Just common Ed Bashers with sword and board. I don't really need to get around to painting some normal orcs at some point. Great Green Idol, who's also a BSB, and just a couple of squigs for chaff, because I've got zilch chaff in this list, and nothing big enough that can really grind, which I was pretty worried about coming up against vamps, and he's got a nasty Death Starry slash Barrow, what are they called? The old Barrow Guard regiment or unit. So what did I get for spells? I actually rolled, yeah, that's what I rolled. It was awesome because that way I wanted the Trial of Faith, which is the one I was really interested to get, and then I got Wrath of God, so I was happy with that. So then I took number 5. Sorry, no, I got 5, so that way I took Child of Faith with the double 6. So yeah, good spells, fairly high casting, but yeah, it was interesting to see how this lore went. And we rolled up. Secondary objectives was capturing our scoring units, 3 scoring units. And I think I put 1 unit of the squigs down and then ended up pretty much dumping everything because I need first turn because I want to get this Vanguard thing off. So, we're so close. I didn't want to be right up at the deployment line. And pretty much thought from the get-go, I'm not going to be really able to use this Micnot's totem because he had a lot of magic items in his Graveguard block, but I didn't really want to fight it. So yeah, I was thinking I'm just going to have to use those guys as chaff, and they were obviously one of the units that he would get for his secondary objectives. My other ones would be the Night Goblins and my Orcs. The Orcs are further enough away that I thought, let's try and keep them safe all game. So you can see sort of how deployed. So close-ups there. So yeah, just back off. I thought the spider, and the great thing about the 18-inch BSB 18-inch, there's my general, just on the top right of the Night Goblins, is that everything's pretty much in range. So my spider on it can hang out and try and protect that flank. It was good actually. He dropped. So yeah, I believe I probably even dropped my Ed Bashers, the mounted Ed Bashers, and the cave Nashes, and so he'd responded by putting his 3 little vampire knights, which I should go through his army in a minute, to the left. So that's why I was able to fit the trolls in there to face them, which was good because that's Vanguard. You can see I've Vanguarded the cave goblins up. So yeah, he's got 3 vampire knights. He's got his big Barrow Guard regiment with Barrow I don't know bloody what it is. It's Vampire Lord with everything and a Barrow Knight, BSB. Yeah, it's pretty much it's a ridiculous unit. If he gets everything off with those buff wagons behind, he's basically hitting on twos, winning on twos. Yeah, nasty, but lots of points in that unit. He's got this the other version of the Mortis engine, but yeah, I think that's gonna give some buffs, and then he's got that little corpse cart behind that. Bunch of skeletons, zombies, some crypt ghouls, whatever they are, just dire wolves, and then spirit host, and three of these vampire flying things, and I have no idea what any of this is. But so in terms of the scoring units, I picked the three vampire knight dudes, the zombies, and the crypt ghouls. And yeah, just Vanguard up on the hill, and I get turn one, and that was good. So I just sent my mounted Ed Bashers up basically to chaff up that unit, the big scary unit, and force him to do a flank charge on that. My trolls actually went for a charge, but it was pretty. I think it was a 9 I needed, and they failed. So I was really would have liked that because they were still going to be within 18 inch of my general, and they would get out of the charge arc. Actually, in the end, it probably works out fine because then I have to use them as chaff as well. There's no other charges, I think, on my part. Slowly move up on this side. I'm not too scared about anything. I can go up against anything on this side. He's got those flyers, but again, if they get around the back, I'll worry about it later, I guess. Yeah, the failed charge. And magic, yeah, it was like 10 to 6 or something, and I got. Actually, let me just get. It's a good magic phase, actually. I ended up. He had to stop the trial of faith, and that's the. We didn't get it off at all, but it's such a good magic dice. Um, they have to keep their dispel for that, which is good. So I got this Smite the Unbeliever off, which I was pretty skeptical of this spell, and now it's been nerfed anyway in 1.3 if you've seen the sneak peek. Um, but I ended up rolling 5 4-ups in a row. So these dudes went down a toughness 1, and -3 off the toughness, -2 off the strength. So that really changed my next move because then I realized, oh, I was going to start shooting. I was going to do my volley fire night goblins into probably maybe the skeletons or even the corpse cart to try and just put some wounds on it. Actually, I think I was thinking about the corpse cart, but now these guys are toughness 1. Yeah, I had to try and knock these guys down quick. And I also got a comment off and put it right there. As you can see where that little number 4 objective marker thing is. Yeah, and so volley fire, my night goblins took off a bunch. Obviously, you can grow some back, but hey, you got to try somewhere. And then he's turn 1. And this game was, it was a turn 1 and 2 were the big ones. And it was an interesting game. So he sends his corpse cart and spider skellies into my night goblins, and his graveguard into the flank of my Ed Bashers. And this is where I felt slack for the rest of the game because stood and shoot night goblins and actually did get 2 wounds off on this guy. So interestingly, I probably could have killed him if I'd volley fired into him turn 1 as well. So maybe I should have, just the volume of hits. But anyway, moved charges and everything, and then I realised, I'm supposed to stand and shoot my. Oh, why have I jumped here already? Oh yeah, the rest of the charges. So these guys went into my cave goblins, cave gnashes. And then I realised I have to have my fanatics because I haven't used them for so long. And he was absolutely gracious enough to let me stand and shoot with them. And it's hard to see in this picture from where he was. Let me just go to the next picture. I just basically shot them straight up at the corpse cart, both of them, and I rolled a 10 and 11. So I think the 11 hit his guy, and then the 10 was right in front. So, him completing the charge, he had to go through those my fanatics, and yeah, it lost the corpse cart, and it was just because that corpse cart was just going to annihilate my night goblins. Felt slack, but he was happy to take it, and it was a friendly game, but I've got to remember things a bit better, but it went my way this time. So thanks, Andrew. So now the skellies don't have that support. It's going to be a lot more easier for my night goblins. Yeah, these dudes are going to die. And I did kill one of his guys, I think it was. But yeah, then he wiped out perfectly the number of wounds I had in the unit, and Frenzy overran, flew over this difficult terrain out of my spider's arc, which I think he probably was anyway. Um, Bit of I think we took off a bunch of his, he took some of us, and that was about it. But yeah, big swing there just because of the corpse cart, sorry, the mortis engine getting taken off. Yeah, there's the Ed Bashes are gone. So he reforms to face my trolls and potentially take out my night goblins. So my turn two, I send the trolls into. So yeah, he'd come up and sort of chaffed up my trolls to stop them charging into his graveguard. So I had to take that. These guys are just fighting away, and then you can see I charge my Great Green Idol into combat now to get some better buffs off, and send my Common Warlord into them as well. I mean, there's 40 something zombies. I want to try to cut them down as quick as I can. My spider fails a charge against his dire wolves, which sucked. Um, Man, yeah, the orcs just moving up. Not a whole lot. I'm basically ignoring those two vampire guys behind me. I can't really do much about them. And magic again. I get Smite the Unbeliever off. I don't know what. No, I think, sorry, he did dispel that. I think he managed to dispel that and my Trial of Faith one, but I managed to get 3 dice Comet and got it off and put it right there. And each time, sorry, Comet went off as well before on the other one, so it went off. Like I think I got it off 3 times in the game, and it came down straight away afterwards. So it was only shrink 5 hits, but it was taking out the Graveguard or helping to. The Vampire Knights died of my trolls. Then we reform. And yeah, we're still munching through skellies. With the buff up, that helped. We carved through a few more of them, which was good, with the +1 to wound. And the devastating charge over here, we do wipe off over half the unit, but we're going to be stuck there for another turn, another combat round. And his turn 2, so now bottom of turn 2, he goes in to take my trolls out. I'm trying to remember. I think we even measured, and he could actually do a pivot and charge into the night goblins, but maybe he couldn't. Because I wonder if he would have. Not sure. I remember measuring something around and declaring that he could make it through, but I don't know if it could have been the turn before. These Vampire Knights, flying dudes, have come around the bottom. His Crypt Ghouls have gone into my Snotlings, and the other dudes just moved up. We get some type of spell off on these guys. Don't even know what it is. I'm basically he's got 2 Evos, so I'm basically having to try and stop some of them, but I mean, I can't stop all of it. I do have the +2 banner dispel, which is good. But yeah, he keeps growing some Graveguard back, which he does there, and he ends up wiping out my trolls. So that's probably just before combat and after magic. He's got some buff up on the skeletons, but it's not helping too much. So down go my trolls, just eaten in one turn. I pop the skellies, which is awesome. And we also destroy the zombies as well. And he also takes out my Snotling. So I thought he was going to overrun. And we must have done the Snotling combat first. And I thought he might overrun. No, sorry, we did the zombie combat first, and I thought he might overrun into my orcs. So I just turned my chariot around, thinking that, well, he's not going to be in charge arc anyway. But he actually ended up not overrunning and holding, which is annoying because then I could have, if I'd left at least one of either my Great Green Idol or my chariot around the other way, because I couldn't reform any other way, just because that's stay an inch away, and they're both bloody, and that idol square. I could have covered both of those angles and at least got into combat with them earlier, but it is what it is. I've got the chariot. He's in pretty easy charge range of those flyers, so I thought he'd be the best bet to try and take them out. That's what I do my turn three. It just, I mean, it just obviously I'm starting to beat him up, and like I feel so slack because of that Mortis engine debacle at the beginning. But just the way the combats are going, and I'm ended up popping him in his turn. It's ended up just rolling through, which was, just great luck on my part. So I went with I was able to charge the chariot into those guys, and I make it into the flying guys. Um, I charged the ghouls. Spider finally gets into the direwolves, and then I reformed with the night goblins in his turn, and 8-inch moved out of his arc, luckily. Um, so yeah, able to get away from those graveguard in my turn three. Looks like I get Smite the Unbeliever off, yeah, and I think it was either -2 to toughness, -3 to strength, I think it was. So nerf bat this thing now. I mean, that spell, I was rolling, it was just ridiculous. Like the amount of 4-ups I was rolling, which originally when I read this spell, I was like, oh, this is pretty crap. Like, the pretty good chance you won't get anything. But the magic dice were definitely on for me in this game. With that, I mean, he just didn't stand a chance, just wiped him out, which was good. Um, and he reforms to face. I'm gonna have to throw him in front of those graveguard if I have to, if I can get there, because I've just run out of chaff, and he just keeps growing graveguard back, and if that unit gets in combat with those night golems, I'm gonna lose a lot of points. Um, so yeah, I think he's just reformed as well. There wasn't much in his top of three, bottom of three, I think. Looks like I've taken the dogs out. I failed the overrun to the spirit host. Um, and yeah, his magic phase, he gets the spell off. I can't remember which one it is, but it's like a sniper spell on my shaman. He's got no protection. Sorry, on my general. Sorry, I've got the pan pinch and protection thingy me bot. So yeah, I mean his vampire lord has a 4-up ward, so I get to use that, and I warded both wounds, which is awesome. So my turn four. The only thing I can really do to get in front of that graveguard is I have to sacrifice my awesomely brave cave goblin witch doctor. So he hardtails it over there, stand in front of his graveguard, forcing a flank charge, and my other guys move off as fast as they can to get away from the graveguard. Chariot dude moves up 7 inches, but it just wasn't enough to get in front of the graveguard. Finally get into the spirit hosts, and I'm hightailing my common orcs out of there as well. So even if he gets my night golems at this point, I've killed the 3 that I needed to. So I've got the secondary, which is good at this point. I throw 3 dice and miscast on one of the spells. I think it was the I don't know which one it was. To be honest, I think it might have been yeah, Comet. So I've put it right behind me. Yeah, it was Comet. Miscast, and I must have rolled a 1 on one of the wounds, so I didn't actually kill myself, which is awesome. I ended up with 1 wound, but he goes in with the graveguard, so my witch doctor's dead. And then in his magic phase, he raises up some zombies right in front of my chariot. Bottom of 4, kills my witch doctor, reforms, and now he has I think we worked it out, it was a 10 on the dice charge to the flank of my night goblins. That was after I moved, so I think it is. It's my turn, his turn 4, he goes for the charge. Orc turn 5. So this is it. Yeah, my turn. Just sorry guys, I can't remember. But whatever it was, he had a 10. I can't remember which turn it was, but he had a go at a 10 on the dice charge at my night goblins and failed it and stumbled forward about 4. And so in my turn 5, I can just move 8 inches out of the way. Either that or my turn 6, one of them. Probably was my turn 6, sorry. And so he is unable to catch me then because now I was outside of his 16 charge range. So my magic, I mean, I did a few more damage to this, probably with Comet. And that's pretty much how we called the game because, as I said, into my turn 6, I could just move my night goblins totally out of charge range, unless he wanted to send the corpse card in. But the corpse card had 1 wound left, so he didn't want to lose that. And that's how the game ended. I did get the spirit hosts as well. Yeah, it was a 15-5 with secondaries, 15-5 orc victory. And then I just took a picture of showing you really the turning point, which was a turn one charge, letting me quick to fire my fanatics when I, figured I should have like launched them then. But yeah, I mean, look, I could have done it. It wasn't like we broke rules or anything, but we didn't realize it until combat phase. So I was very appreciative, and it really swung that combat. Which I think if he had if I didn't have them, they would have just rolled my night goblins because they wouldn't have been steadfast. He would have just taken that whole unit out, and I would have been really struggling to get anywhere with the general as well. So yeah, it was a good game and probably lasted 1.2. It'd be nice if things settled down and they concentrated on getting some fluff out, ninth age people, instead of worrying about balance. We had a discussion about that. I don't know. My opinion is now it's like you're going too far down worrying about balance. It's not going to happen. Get the fluff out, get the books out, get the art out. Who gives a crap if the game isn't balanced? Honestly, it's not going to be, and we can comp it if we have to. um, just put some fun into the game like it is, and get the fluff out so people can build armies and be fun and leave the rules as it is, and we'll work it out later. So, if you're listening, take that on board. Otherwise, this is going to drop in popularity as you've seen with the reject, 1.2 feedback and stuff. This is, yes, you guys play this as a competitive game, but at the end of the day, it's a game, and people are going to play it for, I think, fluff and fun and stuff way more than they do competition. So although we do want to get rid of some of the really crazy stuff, don't waste time trying to, knock it all out, I think. That's my rant anyway. Yeah, so anyway, hope you enjoyed it, and we're going to try and get a really big, like 10,000 point game in over our Christmas break here. I'll see if we can organise it, and if we do, you'll see it. If we don't, sorry. And hopefully we'll get a 1.3 game in once it drops. Cheers, guys. See ya.